Okay, welcome back. What a discussion we're having before the break. I had to stop it because of that break, but we are back, and this is what some of you are saying online. Let's put the first one up. Emmanuel Kirui, if they've been undermining the Deputy President by excluding him in COVID-19 response meetings and consultations since March, it doesn't make any sense for them to try and include him now. All right. And Michael Wainaina, Deputy President and Deputy Governors seemingly have no place in our setup. Our DP is no longer working. Nairobi, our most important county, has no governor. Okay, those are some of your thoughts. I'll also read your SMSs as well. 22422 is the SMS line. Hashtag is Newsnight. Aaron, before the break, Gunjiri asked you a question. He asked you what the Deputy President has done to assist the President to work this year. You can respond.
But it will be important, Wahiga, for Gunjiri to tell us on whose behalf he's complaining. Has the President confided in him that there is an errand or an assignment he has given to his deputy, and he didn't show up?
He didn't show up yesterday for COVID.
My friend, stop heckling. This is not Facebook. This is a serious show.
Okay, go ahead.
The debate, allow me to make my point, then you make yours. Wahiga, you need to teach this guy how to debate on a TV platform.
Okay, he's had your message.
So,
go ahead.
Wahiga, the question that Ngujiri needs to tell us is, number one, is he speaking on behalf of the President? Number two, has the President told him that there is any assignment he has assigned his deputy which he was not able to fulfill? Number three, to respond to his question, is the fact that, to the best of my knowledge, at least to what I know, for every assignment that he has been given, he has done it to the best of his ability. If he has been given none, then he has done none. If he has been given some, then he has done some. So we shouldn't be wasting time here discussing and speculating as if we are not adults. Of course, many of the people that are watching this show appreciate, they live in Kenya. They know the sidelining that has been going on in government. And therefore, for people to come and rant and complain over the absence of a chair, you know, the problem with people like Ngujiri, Wahiga, is that they are obsessed with the trivialities. He is now more obsessed with the fact that he was absent yesterday than the fact that for the last 12 meetings that the President has had, he was not invited and he didn't show up. And even for yesterday's meeting, what is the confirmation that he was invited? Does he know? Does he work at that particular place? He is a legislator. What effort has he made to address this gap that exists in our Constitution, where, when faced with the kind of scenario where we are faced in, and I've told you this problem is broader, you've got to discuss it beyond the President and his deputy alone. What effort has he put using the privilege he has as a parliamentarian, as opposed to the noise that he keeps on making in Facebook? Finally, Wahiga, one of the things that I need to remind my friend Gunjiri is that do not mock the people that ride wheelbarrows in this city, that push mkokotenis selling fruits, that welders, and I believe there are some in Nyeri town that you represent in parliament. They are Kenyans and they deserve to be respected. When they are invited to that kind of a place as they were today, why should you mock them? Why should you laugh at them? The fact that you are a member of parliament and a child of privilege doesn't give you the platform to mock those particular people. They deserve respect. That is a kind of madarao that you are telling you enough is enough. The hustler nation is woke.
Senator, before Honorable Gunjiri comes in and responds to what you've said, something interesting you said before we took that break. You seemed to parallel the experiences of the Deputy President with the experiences of a majority of deputy governors within the counties. And Steve Crown is asking tonight, does Aaron Cheriot agree that the Deputy President could be earning a salary for not working as per the duties outlined in the Constitution? If so, why is he still comfortable in office? And you could also ask that about deputy governors. Do you think it's right, Senator, as a senator of this land, to have office holders who are not working and are still comfortable occupying those positions?
The deputy president is a principal assistant to the president. He is given responsibilities. He is tasked to do one or two things occasionally. He attends his cabinet meetings. He's given different tasks once in a while, and which, to the best of all of us who follow what happens in this country, he executes. And therefore, you can only do as much as your boss allows us. And it will be foolhardy for us to begin blaming the deputy governors and the deputy president for not being as busy. The question we need to be asking is their bosses. How much responsibility have you delegated? Delegation is part of leadership. It is part of what this kind of governance system that we have in this country is built upon. It is built on the premise that it appreciates that no single individual is as talented to a point of knowing everything. Therefore, you complement each other with efforts, with gifts, with ideas. What one person cannot do better, you delegate to the other. And that is a failure that I have seen on the part of many of those who exercise executive power, either as president or governors. And therefore, the question that we should be asking is, why are they not delegating as much to the people that they have been elected together with? And what do we need to do about? By the way, it will be interesting to know, and this is something that I'd wish Ngujiri to ask, if you cannot respect the fact that you have only two offices right now, a president and his deputy, then what nonsense is this you're telling us about BBI, that you want to create an additional 3 other offices to make it 5? If when there are only 2, they cannot be in sync, then you'll be a madman to believe that when they become 5, there'll be harmony in government. It will be a madhouse.
Okay, you've asked a question I believe Gonjiri has had, and the BBI discussion, it seems you're bringing it up. But Gonjiri, maybe you want to respond to what he said before. You've spoken about BBI.
The first thing I want to say is that this assumption that there is a gap, that there is a problem because the deputy president has refused to work as a deputy president and decided to go to work as a campaign, as a presidential aspirant, that is an assumption. When the constitution was made, it was assumed that the deputy president would wholeheartedly assist the president. So I hear my brother, Senator Cheruiyot, and I would actually urge him to just cool down a bit. I hear him getting worked up by the fact that I have said that the deputy president has absconded duty. And it is true, he has absconded duty. And it is not possible to delegate work to somebody who spends every opportunity, including the work you give him, to campaign for an election that is 4 years ago, 4 years to come, which is what he was doing from 2018. So at a certain point, as his boss, you decide, you know what, and the president has said this, I will release those people who want to go and do campaigns and I will focus on doing the work. And yesterday was a case study. Yesterday, the president was out there doing work, struggling to help Kenyans navigate the coronavirus that's something we have never seen, and the deputy president was doing campaigns. And that is actually a very good example of the difference and the problem that we are having today. And it's also important for us to note something. I hear my brother pontificating about how important it is that the deputy president is pushing wheelbarrows and giving mikokotenis. I would like to remind Senator Cheruiyot that when William Ruto was a hustler, because right now he's not a hustler. Right now he's a rich man, a really rich man. But when he was a hustler, when he was in university, and he met the president at that time, the president at that time was Moi. Moi did not give him a wheelbarrow. Moi did not give him a mkokoteni. Moi gave him land. Moi gave him an opportunity to work for government. The deputy president, I want to know which hustlers, which mkokoteni pushers, which boda women he has put in his office. Because he has an office right now as a deputy president. So that he stops telling and lying to Kenyans that when I become president, I am going to give jobs to boda women, to boda people, I'm going to give jobs to Mama Mboga. He has an office at this moment in time. And even if he can't employ people in public service, he can employ them in his office as a deputy president. How many Mama Mbogas has he employed? How many boda people has he employed? He's lying to us here and pushing wheelbarrows. When he was a hustler, when he was in university, he was not given a mkokoteni by President Moi. He was given land. Why can't he give these people land so that they can become like him today? Because 20 years ago, when he was in YK 92, when he was just a university graduate, he had no property. He was not given a mkokoteni by Moi. Why is he taking us for granted? Why is he assuming he's going to lie to Kenyans and give them mkokotenis today, 20 years later? He is an extremely rich man. Why isn't he giving people what he was given by Moi himself?
Okay. Cheruiyot? Can you hear me?
Yes, Wahiga.
Can you hear me?
First of all,
I want to ask
first of all, yes, I can.
Yes, if you can hear me, I want to ask you this. So what needs to change? Because you've unpacked the issue here, that there seems to be an issue within the structures. In your view, what needs to change to ensure that we don't have a situation like you find ourselves in? Because again, what many are asking tonight is, what's the option? What's the way forward? Is this going to be the cycle for the next 2 years until the next election? And many are concerned that if it is, that Kenya will not achieve the goals that many believe it would have by 2022, including those laid out by the Jubilee Party?
First of all, this is a very difficult assignment that you're giving to us. Perhaps only a peddler of gossip would enjoy such a topic like Ngujiri is doing, because many of the answers to these questions are best answered, like you said at the beginning of the show, by these two gentlemen. Why is it so difficult to work and run government as is expected to run? But I'll respond to some of the issues that Ngujiri is raising. Number one, he needs to realize that the deputy president is a holder of a public office, but he does not employ people in his office. He needs to read his constitution. That is a work of Public Service Commission. Read your constitution, Ngujiri. These are not the Kanu days where you call people on the street and say, you sit in that particular office and you sit on the other. The people that work in that office are recruited by Public Service Commission. That is a demand and what is expected of our constitution. If you complain, the problem we have in this country are people who keep on shifting goalposts and explaining that, oh, why have you done this? Why have you not done the other? What he has done, you can do that which he has failed, which in your opinion you think he should have done. Because all these efforts you pull together as leaders, I help this particular person, you help the other, but complaining as if it is a responsibility of only one individual to take care of all the burdens in the country is foolhardy of him. I believe he has done that which is in his ability. And there are many more that perhaps we may never come to know. It's not right and factually true, for example, what you claim. I do not know where Ngujiri read about all these land issues. But even if that were to be true, Wahiga, is it every young person that was in Kenya at that time that was given land? I believe you do that which is available at your disposal. The president of those days had the opportunity to apportion land to people. That responsibility is no longer available. That which you can do is to ensure that government programs run, which I believe he's doing, and complement it by doing the additional responsibilities that he's doing. Perhaps Ngujiri can help us by explaining to us what is it that he does for the young people of Nyeri town. Maybe we can learn from him.
Oh, I can.
Ngujiri, if you can hear me, I want to, even as you respond to what he said, I want to ask a question that's been re-asked, quote unquote, by Senator Kipchumba Murkomen. He's saying, how do you know that the Deputy President has refused work? He wants clarification on that. Ngujiri also mentioned that as you give your response, because I want us to get to BBI and wrap this up.
I know that the Deputy President has refused to work because he didn't show up in the conference yesterday.
Okay, that's one incident.
He had been invited.
Mm-hmm. That's one incident. I think you'd have to table.
That's the latest incident. I suspect, but you see, Maura, I think it is important. I think let's be fair. We are talking about the most recent incident, which was yesterday. I could keep going back and picking up issues where the president has asked people not to do premature campaigns, and the deputy president has continued working, doing premature campaigns. We have seen, we actually had the senator talk about the way that the deputy president hasn't attended or hasn't been invited for 12 events. I keep hearing the supporters of the deputy president saying how he's a smart person and how he's really hardworking. And I want to ask myself, we are struggling. We have the issue of COVID millionaires, which the senator keeps talking about, people who have stolen money that was supposed to help Kenyan people. And I want to ask myself, what is the deputy president? What has the deputy president done about that? He is a holder of a constitutional office. He is a holder of a public office. He has capacity. He can mobilize people. What I want to hear from him is, what I would wish to see is the deputy president holding and helping the president steady the ship of the Kenyan Republic at this moment in time. That is not what we are seeing. What we are seeing is a guy who is actually campaigning for president. There's something else that we need to clarify, Wahiga. I keep hearing people saying that, you know, the deputy president has been given work, and I keep wanting to tell people this. The deputy president, you cannot, as a president, you cannot force somebody to work with you who doesn't want to work. You can't. It is not possible. If you invite him for a conference and he does not come, what are you going to do? Send presidential escort to go and force him to come and sit over there? You just can't. So it is actually not possible for the president to force the deputy president to work. If the deputy president wants to campaign for president every single day, the only thing he wants to do is actually mobilize young people, call them the hustler nation, promise how he's going to give them jobs in 2022, and I keep asking myself, you're the deputy president of the Republic of Kenya. I hear Aaron Cheruiyot telling us that people don't just get employed from the streets. That's what the deputy president is telling people today. That I will employ you from the streets as a border person. I will employ you from the streets as a Mkokoteni person. What are they going to do? Today, he tells us you have to be employed through the public service. Are they telling us they're going to scrap the public service if the deputy president was to become president and then start employing people from the streets? Because these rules will apply even if he was to become president. So telling us that you cannot get people employed now when you're the deputy president because you have to be employed through the public service is telling us when you become the president, if you become the president, you will scrap the public service and employ people from the street yourself. Or what these are the inconsistencies in the narratives that I hear from the deputy president and the people who are supporting him. You keep walking around promising people, young people who have come out of university, and instead of showing them how they can get into the public service is hiring people every single day. Every single month we have 3,000 jobs being announced in the newspapers. Instead of helping these people prepare their documentation, they have degrees, they have gone to school. Instead of helping them to do that, you're telling them you're going to give them a wheelbarrow, you're going to give them a mkokoteni, and then you give one wheelbarrow, one mkokoteni to 20, 30 people. And you tell us that you have empowered them. That is not empowerment. That is taking us back. We have jobs. You are the deputy president. You're not an opposition leader.
Okay.
You're the second most powerful person in the Republic of Kenya. And so, and I'm sorry I'm getting worked up. It's just that I cannot stand the inconsistencies that I keep seeing from this person who we went and elected, as Senator Cheruiyot keeps reminding us, we are elected together with the president to help the president work. Had I known that this is what he was going to be doing, I don't think we would have made that decision.
My goodness. Okay. Senator Cheruiyot, a question here from Fred Obachi Machoka. I'm sure you know him. He's asking, in your view, what do you think the year is 2027 or thereafter? And imagine that we have President Ruto then. What will stop the next deputy president from replicating what we are seeing right now with the deputy president at loggerheads with the president? It's a scenario you've talked about. He's trying to look forward. What would stop the next deputy president from doing the same thing that we're seeing now?
I don't think what will be, I don't understand what will be the problem then if by 2027 you have somebody as a deputy president doing the things that he does. In fact, he needs to encourage his deputy at that particular time that please do more of such. Because, we need to raise this conversation. I don't understand why Gujiri doesn't make sense of what you are talking about. We are talking about job creation, my friend. It is not just about the people that you see in Karen. You've been given the statistics today that as of today, as we speak, there have been more than 500 groups that have visited that particular residence, each constituting a total of over 8,000 people that have got something meaningful to do when they go back home. Of course, that is not the entire population of Kenyan young people. I am shocked that you imagine that empowerment, according to you, is helping young people prepare their CVs. What kind of madness is that you're talking about, Ngujiri? I believe that while we have young people that have gone to school and they've got the ability to apply for those jobs that you're talking about, PSC, you've got to be alive to the fact of the country that we live in, that there are so many other young people who did not get the kind of education that will warrant them to secure a job either in public or private practice. And those are the people that we need to find out because at the end of the day, educated or uneducated, graduate or non-graduate, you've got a family to feed, you've got bills to pay. And it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it is your responsibility as a leader to ensure that those people live a decent and uncomfortable life. That is a conversation that you are having by saying every hustle matters, that give due attention. While you're minding those that are applying for jobs in public service, you've got to find a way of uplifting those who are at the lower levels. Come, listen to them, talk to them about your story with business. Let them learn from you.
Okay.
Let them be inspired by visiting your office. When they look at you, there is something they draw from that conversation. So it is not just as cheap as Gujiri would like it to appear. And by the way, Wahiga, allow me to inform Gujiri. He's a new entrant into Jubilee. He came in just the other day. For his information, The deputy president did not begin this work that he's doing in 2017. As early as 2013, he has been meeting youth groups. He has been going around the country doing all those things. If it was not wrong at that particular time, it is hypocrisy and it stinks to the high heavens for it to be a problem at this particular time.
Okay.
All these things that he's doing, he did not begin them at this particular time. Therefore, if between 2013 to 2017, there was nothing wrong with William Ruto going around the country, you are a hypocrite if you find a problem with it post-2017.
Let me tell you what, gentlemen, I want us to take this conversation forward and wrap it up with BBI. And I want to get your thoughts on this. Let me read a quote, Gunjiri, from one of the dailies yesterday. They were quoting you. They were saying the BBI storm is coming. It's going to vanquish the protagonists, or the propagandists, rather, crisscrossing the country in their usual 2022 premature campaigns. I hope you'll confirm that that was your quote. And you also went on to say they will get it rough when we start talking to Kenyans directly soon. Now, this doesn't sound like the BBI that was supposed to unite the nation, Honorable Gunjiri. So help us understand those comments attributed to you in a daily newspaper yesterday.
Thank you, Wahiga. First and foremost, I keep hearing people saying that the BBI is coming to divide people and it's supposed to be uniting people. And Wahiga, again, the same way I said that you have to want to work for someone to work with you, somebody has to want to be part of the nation for you to actually unite with him. When I listen to the Deputy President, when I listen to Senator Aaron Cheruiyot, when you listen to a comment he made about the way that two people have been unable to work, how are they going to work when they're five? And we broke down, and we've had a lot of the people we call Tangatanga pushing this narrative that BBI is about creating positions for 5 people. And we are right now, Senator Cheruiyot and myself are looking at a very high likelihood of getting sent back to do elections because of dissolution, because we have been unable to pass a constitutional requirement to that gender. And the reason we have been unable to pass this to that gender is because to do it, we need to change the constitution. To change the constitution requires us to go to a referendum because we have to increase the number of members of parliament.
Sorry, just say that again.
So we really must
say that again. You're saying to achieve gender compliance as per the constitution, we must change the constitution.
Yes.
How?
Yes, because you see, the constitution says that you must have a third. The constitution says a third of the gender, a third of the people in parliament must be of a certain of opposite gender. So we have 290 constituencies. These 290 constituencies, you cannot force people to vote for a man or a woman. They vote for whoever they want. Once you have the 290 positions, you nominate, like in National Assembly, you nominate approximately 60 people so that you get to 349. Now, even if you nominated all these as women, and then the 290 people who are elected were all men, you still will not get the 2/3 majority. So for you to actually balance this, you'd have to do what the county assemblies do, where the county assemblies elect the ward representatives, the ward MCAs. Then once they elect and they see that they don't have 2/3, they then nominate the equivalent that is required to get to 2/3. Meaning that you have a situation where the numbers in parliament, the numbers in the county assembly would have to keep fluctuating. Now, for us to do this, we'd have to actually go back into the constitution and look at this issue about how many people can actually sit in parliament. We'd have to look at that. And not just that, we have a lot of other issues we need to look at. I personally have a problem. Without the JIC is constituted, we have very many conversations we need to have about our constitution. But no, the people who have been pushing the anti-BBI narrative are stuck on the fact that proposals have been made to increase the positions to 5. Incidentally, they're just proposals. These proposals are going to be brought to the Kenyan people. If Kenyan people don't want to increase the positions to 5, they'll say no. The same way, if Kenyan people don't want us to have a 2/3 gender rule in the constitution, they will change it. This is a conversation. What we need to be asking ourselves, should we be having a conversation about aspects in the constitution that need to be changed? Do we need to look at the gender rule, create a way of actually making it a reality? Because even if today you dissolved parliament and you went into elections in 90 days, there's absolutely no possibility that you'll actually achieve the 2/3. You might actually be in a even larger problem. And at the meanwhile, you have spent a certain amount of money having what is actually a general election, because it's only the president that you'll not be electing. So these are the conversations we're supposed to be having. But no, we're not going to have this conversation because people are stuck, or some of our colleagues who are operating around the deputy president are stuck on that there is a group that wants to increase the positions. That is their right. They have a right to propose that, yes, maybe we need a prime minister, a deputy prime minister. We don't have to accept it. When we go to a referendum, we can say we don't want that. But it is, they're talking about it as if it is a fait accompli, that once the proposal is made for 5 positions, it must be implemented. Kenyans can say no. What we should be saying is, this is what we do not want.
Okay.
Not trying to fight the process of determining whether we are going to have it or not. Because BBI is not a constitution it is bringing. It is a process to decide whether we want to change the constitution or not. Somebody is going to come with proposals, say, why don't we change this aspect of the constitution, this aspect of the constitution, this aspect of the constitution.
Okay.
Kenyans are going to say, we don't want to change it.
Okay.
Or we want to change it. Let's stop fighting the process. Let us wait. We don't even know what the BBI is going to actually say.
Okay, we don't know what it's going to say, but you call it a storm and it's going to vanquish propagandists. But anyway, let's put that aside. I don't have anything.
Yes, because we are going to push, because Wahiga, we are going to push the narrative. We are going to push the narrative that we need as a country to have a conversation about our constitution. That is the storm that is coming.
That's the storm you're talking about.
Away by trying to make it about yes.
Let me allow Aaron to weigh in before I read the feedback that our viewers have sent in at this time. Aaron?
First of all, I take comfort, Wahiga, in knowing that I'm not the only one struggling to understand some of the things that Gujiri is saying. I've seen that you too have had to seek clarification from some of the things he's trying to point out. This two-thirds gender debate is not a light discussion to be casually dismissed by a wave of a finger, as Gujiri is trying to do and saying, oh, we just need to go to a referendum. It's about counting seats in parliament. I think if I was to advise Honorable Gujiri Wambugu, and I think I have warranted, as his senior in parliament, I have warranted the status to advise him, is that he needs to spend more time in the House and keep off Facebook, so that he understands, first of all, parliamentary procedures, so that you do not come on national TV and reduce the work. You're passing blame onto the Kenyan people, but the truth of the matter is that we as parliament have failed to enact legislation that will have unlocked this particular debacle on the gender issues. Therefore, it's not an issue of referendum here or there. Secondly, he keeps on telling us about so many things, why you need to trust the process and not critique it before it comes to an end. Why are you worried? We are only but merely expressing our opinion that there are things that we find to be more urgent to Kenya than the kind of discussion that you want us to have. I don't know if Honorable Gujiri Wambugu is aware that we are staring at a very difficult economic time ahead of us in the coming few months, thanks to one, COVID, and two, the fact that as an administration, and which we both share part of the blame because we are both elected in the Jubilee party, how we've managed this economy. That there are more young people out there without jobs, that thanks to COVID, our revenues aren't doing as well. And in the next few months, when we begin, you must remember, Wahiga, that we are collecting only about 1.6 trillion. And of that amount, over $1 trillion from next financial year will be going back to repaying debt.
Aaron, I must say, Aaron, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
With those kind of...
I must say, it's very interesting to hear a Jubilee elected senator, publicly agree that...
complaining.
That that management of the economy has not been up to par. And you know what John Buddy is saying tonight, ODM chair? He's saying, is it an admission by those who support the deputy president that the 1 million jobs a year promise was a mirage? Now that we are seeing of giving of wheelbarrows and water tanks, wasn't that the promise given? And you, Aaron, tonight seem to say we did not achieve that promise. Go ahead.
I think Mbadi, just like his friend Gujiri in Kieleweke, cannot distinguish between employment and empowerment. They work in sync. Not everybody will be employed. You've got to empower others so that they create jobs for other people. That's what we should be doing. That's what we as leaders, we all need to learn from the deputy president and realize if we wait only for government efforts, it cannot come as quickly as we hope so. As leaders, in our own small way, I need to go back to Kericho, Buddy needs to go back to Homa Bay, and empower a few other young people to complement that which the government is doing. The key word is complement. It's not a sign of failure. You're just trying to get and realize the results faster. And Wahiga, on that question that you're asking about how Jubilee has managed its economy, it's on record that a few months ago when we had the debate on how we are managing our economy and whether to give this administration more headroom to borrow, I voted against that decision because I realized we were misusing public funds. And therefore I said, before we borrow more, let us first sort the mess that we are in. We lost the vote. Many people voted and thought that it will be okay to borrow additional funds. And therefore, that is why we are saying this discussion about BBI, it needs not to be just a conversation about we the elites, we the political class. What are the issues that matter? I want to challenge that Gujiri Wabogo to walk in Nyeri town, his constituency, and ask the first 10 people that he meets tomorrow morning, what are the greatest challenges that they face? I will pay him if he meets anyone that tells him that the constitution is his problem. Those are elitist problems that you are talking about. If you meet the average people, they'll tell you that we are struggling because we do not know whether you guys are going to open schools or not. That number two, I need to know how to feed my family. I need to be assured of my medical services and those kind of things. Those are not working well at the moment. Let us first sort the basics, then we can discuss these elite problems about who sits in which office and that kind of a discussion.
Gonjiri, you've been asked the top 10 issues in Nyeri town, but before you respond to that, let's look at some of the feedback that we're getting from our viewers tonight. I'm getting a lot of texts as well, I must say. I won't be able to go through all of them. Patrick Chiriba, you say, I think it's formally over. The Deputy President has clearly drawn the line with his movement, the Hustler Nation. They should let DP run his things peacefully. Okay. Let's look at another tweet. I'll also look at SMSs. C. Kalekem says, Murathe has confirmed that the roles of the DP were handed over to Matiangi, and Matiangi was in the conference yesterday. Why again do we need Ruto in the conference? Stop the hypocrisy. Let Ruto continue empowering hustlers. Okay, that's another message. What else do we have? Richie Mahamud. How should we even discuss the issue of Ruto leaving a government which he was voted to by Wananchi? Maybe if the same Wananchi asked him to do so. Deputy President mandate shouldn't be confused with the handshake. All right. Tweets as well. I seem to have a challenge getting SMSs. Wizard of Salem saying some people are subconsciously mocking the things the DP is doing, failing to realize there are people who actually do those things who the DP is actually reaching. Okay. How many more do we have? Let's see. Itumbi says the president had a fully functional campaign secretariat 3 years before the 2013 election. This is Dennis Itumbi, who now works for the deputy president. Fact, I was part of it. DP William Ruto has not even put up a single campaign office less than 2 years to 2022. And I am told we have one more. Albanas Musyoka, you say the deputy president might be wrong or right. To me, giving wheelbarrows is not an issue. My issue is who and how are youths getting these wheelbarrows? Give the youth tenders to manufacture them. Okay, very interesting. Brilliant. Gentlemen, how do we wrap this Brilliant. Up? We seem to have ended up with a debate of he said, she said, back and forth, finger pointing. No. And this coming at a time when really Kenyans are facing very serious issues, 1.7 million plus jobs lost, schools submerged in Baringo County, Kenyatta National Hospital, services not being offered. What's the way forward to really provide services for Kenyans? And I'm speaking to two Jubilee legislators at this time. Let's start with you, Gonjiri.
Wahiga, let me first just help my brother because he keeps talking about how long I'm in Facebook. And I just wanted to make tongue in cheek that for him to know that I'm that long in Facebook means he's there as well. But there's a point I needed to make. First and foremost, right now I'm actually in my office in Nyeri Town, my constituency office, just so that he knows I am actually here working, trying to wrap up something. And part of what I've been doing today, we have 4,400 young people in Nyeri and Akazi Mtaani. We spent a lot of last week just trying to unravel to ensure that some of the ones who hadn't gotten paid got paid, and now most of them have gotten paid, and they're doing work, and they're going to do this work up all the way up to December. And that's just our little thing. And we're not out there flossing and trying to show off that they're actually cutting grass, and we're trying to help them keep themselves going, and that is a government initiative that has been set up to try and help young people and help them in large numbers. I'm talking about 4,400 young people in Nyeri Town constituency alone. Okay. Number two, we have desks. We have 32 schools that are getting desks, and we were out there trying to help and ensure that the young people and the people who have carpentry and workshops are getting these tenders to supply desks to schools. Now, tomorrow, very early in the morning, Wahiga, I'm going to be chairing the Education and Research Committee. I'm not chairing because my chair is not there tomorrow. I'm going to be chairing the Education and Research Committee, where we have invited CS Magoha to come and tell us how schools are going to open. That is what I am doing. I am not just on Facebook, as my brother brother. I don't know. I think he spends a lot of time following me on Facebook, and that's why he keeps seeing all my posts.
Okay.
I'm actually working. I am doing a lot of work, both in Nyeri and in Nairobi. And let me tell you what we need to actually do as we wrap this up, Wahiga. And this
yes, please.
would be how I want us to take this forward. I am a member of parliament for Jubilee. I was elected to help to serve in the ruling party and ensure that the ruling party delivered on the promises it made to the Kenyan people. We have 2 years. Our scorecard is going to be done in 2022, and I want to assure the Kenyan people we will surprise, we will achieve. Because the fact that the deputy president is not helping the president deliver doesn't mean that the president is not going to deliver. He's going to do an amazing job. He's going to ensure that the promises that we gave to the Kenyan people in 2017 are delivered. The irony of it is, Senator Cheruiyot is a Jubilee senator. He's out there trying to convince people the way the Jubilee government has not delivered. And then in 2022, he's going to be asking Kenyans to elect the Jubilee deputy party leader to be president. That is the inconsistencies I talk about when I listen to these guys who are walking around with the deputy president. They do not understand they're shooting themselves in the foot when they're out there trying to fight this government and then hoping that they're going to use their time in government as a platform to get into to lead the next government. If I was them, I would just buckle down. I would go out there. If things are not working, I would not be complaining in public rallies about the way this is going to happening. I am a member of the ruling party. I mean, that is a privilege we have been given by the Kenyan people. We should be out there trying to solve every single problem that the Kenyan people have.
Okay.
Because we don't have an excuse. We are not in opposition. We can't be behaving like opposition when we are not in opposition.
Okay, we'll take that as your last word. Let's hear from you, Senator Cheruiyot. How do you want to wrap this up for us?
Very interesting that Ngujiri finds being a member of a ruling party a privilege. I think what is a privilege?
It's a privilege you are given by Kenyans.
Is the fact that you are in leadership at this particular point, and the job they have given you is that of a member of parliament. Read your constitution, Article 90 all the way to 96. On both houses of parliament, oversight, represent, legislate, not to praise the government. You need to distinguish the two, and that is the difference. If there are things that I know this administration has done right, I mean, it is on the basis of that we went out to campaign. But that does not mean that if things go wrong, as they have at this particular time, we lose the ability to discuss and go out and say, hey, we are losing the plot. There are things that we need to rectify. And therefore, we need to distinguish. Honorable Ngujiri Wambugu, we spent the better part of the evening discussing what this person has done against what the other particular person should have done. I think, Wahiga, it will be of more benefit to your viewers if next time you invite us on this particular show, kind of limit us. Let it be a sober discussion about the challenges that we continue to face as a republic. For example, the response by government to what is happening in Baringo, where an entire population has been completely cut off. If I speak about such issues, surely, is it considered that you're critiquing the same administration that you're voted together with? That is our responsibilities as members of parliament. If we go out of our way and speak about the ills that we continue to see in society, it doesn't mean that we don't appreciate the things that, the one or two things that have been done right by this administration. But it is our sacred duty to always remind this administration that let us stay true to the promise that we made to the Kenyan people. When things go wrong, as they have gone, for example, at KEMSA and Ministry of Health, are we not duty-bound to speak out on behalf of Kenyans and share in their anger and say we need to see action by DCI, ESCC, and DPP in ensuring that those who have perpetrated these hideous acts are brought to book? Therefore, it is not complaining, it is not shooting ourselves into the foot, it is just reminding this administration that we are part of what they need to do to get it right. I am sure the government is not short of people to praise it. Therefore, what is their harm or what is their complaint in having a few of us critiquing it? Let us do our bit. You can do the praising bit. Let us, the rest of us can remind them of what the average Kenyan on the street is feeling about this particular administration. Finally, Wahiga, I know perhaps we may not have enough time to say this, but I'd wish, because I know Nyeri as a county is one of the tea-growing counties, as well as Kericho.
Yes.
That happens to be our main cash crop. That right now there is a big debate amongst our farmers because of regulations that have been sent by Cabinet Secretary Munya to Parliament, and public participation is ongoing. People are almost coming to blows. I wish we would have been given an opportunity to share one or two things about what we feel about these particular issues, what needs to be done about it before we conclude. I don't know if time will allow Wahiga.
Okay, that might not work right now, but what I'm going to do, both of you, I'm going to give you a chance to come back, and we'll have you both back on the show. And that time, we will definitely have a bit more time to talk about matters that are key to the counties and areas that you represent as well. Unless you had one sentence, Senator, unfortunately, we are going to have to wrap this. I can give you room for a sentence or two. What would that be in regards to that issue, just to be fair to you?
The thing that I wanted to say is that I have followed this debate about what happens. I strongly feel that the Cabinet Secretary for Agriculture erred in fact in law by publishing regulations without taking into consideration very grave stakeholder views that are now emerging during this particular phase of public participation. Okay. Therefore, I wish to urge him that before the conclusion of this particular process, let him listen to all the warring parties and ensure that at the end of the day, we have regulations that will ensure the farmer down in the village, the people that Ngujiri and company despise because they are the lowest level of society, get something in their pocket.
Okay. I was hoping you wouldn't give me a chance to have to give Gonjiri a right of reply, but you mentioned his name at the end, and I want us to wrap this up, and I was just being fair to you. Gonjiri, allow us to finish this, because if you say something, he's going to have to say something, and we're going to keep our viewers up all night.
No, I'm actually not going to mention him, because Wahiga, allow me to just say this. My
30 seconds, please. Go ahead.
And as much as Nyeri... Yes, it's just 30 seconds. My father is a tea farmer, and I think the most important thing, and I know he's watching this wherever he is, and I think the most important thing as we talk about how we are going to empower the tea farmer is to remember that the most important person in this conversation is not the KTDA, is not the broker, is not even our experts, not even government, it's not the taxes they make. The most important person in this debate is a tea farmer. Sometimes my dad asks me, you're in parliament, what are you guys doing for us? And it's true, and one of the things I would like to clarify, we have nothing but respect for every level of Kenyan people, and ours is to ensure that we move people from one level of economic empowerment to the next one, and we have to keep doing that. We can't just keep them in the same level of economic empowerment for 8 years and then look like we're doing the same thing we were doing in 2013. We have tried to move people forward, ensuring that now what we have is workshops doing desks, and that's the narrative we need to be pushing. As we go into the tea, as we talk about coffee, talk about tea, what we actually need to be thinking about is how do you ensure that that farmer is making more money? This year, we have had the lowest bonuses from tea, and it's just an amazingly annoying thing that we are having a conversation about how to empower this industry, and we're not thinking about what it is that we're going to do for this farmer.
Thank you so much. Gentlemen, I think we finished on the right note, and you've spoken about issues that are very key to the areas that you come from and the challenges that affect the people that voted you in. Thank you for your time. We've had Ngujiri Wambugu, Member of Parliament, Nyeri Town. He wrapped that up for us, together with Aaron Cheriot, the Senator. Kericho, the future of the Jubilee Party, but many say the future of government, because Jubilee is the ruling party. You decide. Your thoughts on the back and forth we've seen about who's responsible for what's happening. But many Kenyans don't really care about that. They want to know about development. They want to know about a government that is united in providing services to its people. And you've heard what some of the leaders have to say tonight. My name is Wahiga Mora. Thank you so much for tuning in and having stayed tuned to Newsnight. Our sign language interpreter has been Yulan Zale. On behalf of the whole team that's made this show possible, thank you so much for tuning in. Have a good night and stay safe.